The Alric Mackenzie Show starts right now.
My name is Tawana Peters. I got pregnant at 15. It was really hard. I remember thinking my life was over. But with hard work and perseverance, I was still able to achieve my goal.
Show inspiration, motivation, one vision, hope to a new generation. Together we can live and learn. Yes, we're one family on the Alric Show.
Tawana is the second of a set of twin girls. The sisters got pregnant as teenagers, Tawana at 14 and Tawana at 15. Tawana is here with us to share her story on the Alric Show. Tawana, good day.
Good day to you.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing very well myself. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And thank you for sharing with us. For about to share with us, by the way. Tawana, your story is one of trials, struggles, and triumph. Looking back on all this time of your life, how do you feel now when you think about it?
Grateful, appreciative of a lot of things. Things looking back, no, I may have misunderstood, but now that I have been through it and I'm here, it makes the success more worth having.
Wow. Take me back to the earlier days as a young girl. Who you grew up with, who you lived with, and how did life change?
Well, my earliest memory of childhood would begin right here with Grandma. She, along with my aunts, had us here when we were pretty young. I think at the age of 7, my dad got married and then we moved to Portmore.
Oh.
As a child, I remember visiting my mom a few times, but the visit wasn't that frequent.
So what was happening in her life why you never had that close relationship?
I think it's mostly the dispute between both parents was what pulled them apart.
How did not having a relationship with your mother affected you and your sister?
You know, you're not thinking that there's something else that could affect her decision or whatever. You're just thinking that she doesn't want me around or something like that.
All right. Now, take me to know life with Daddy and his wife. What was that like?
They were strict. They were strict, but I think they were trying their best. My dad wanted us to go boarding school. They were planning to migrate. My sister had passed to St. Jacob and I had passed to Hampton School. And I was going to boarding school, but I've never been separated from my sister. So through the years, I may have not seen mommy. Sometimes I may have not seen daddy, but I've always had my sister.
And you'd be how old at this time?
I was 12 plus, around there. And I didn't want to go, but I had passed and my dad was very proud. It was like the school, it was my first choice. I had good grades and, you know. So we were separated. I saw her on holidays and each time we saw each other, it was like I was knowing less about my own sister, you know. I cried the entire school year and then daddy decided that he would transfer me. So I went to St. Jago with my sister. But you know, school come with barbecue and sports day and my daddy never saw any fun in none of those. He saw all the dangers and everything else that could happen. So then we keep disagreeing and stuff like this, and one day we got into a disagreement, one night actually, and after we were spanked, we decided that we were gonna leave. We went to mommy to live.
What was it like now living with your mother after running away from your father's house?
It was different, I can tell you. Being a single mother, financially we struggled a lot. In terms of food and school, when I was with daddy, we couldn't miss a day because he was working. My stepmom was contributing. You know, it was two that was pulling. My mom had 6 of us, and some days some of us could go, some days some of us couldn't. You know, it became a struggle for her. So daddy was sending lunch money, but our lunch money would be used to buy grocery and, you know, to fill gaps, which, you know, any mother would have
yes, for sure.
done. Because I think because we struggle financially, sometimes she wasn't there. I don't know if it's to find a way to put food in the house or.
As in, she would leave the home.
Yes.
For days.
Yes.
And you and the children, you were left in whose care?
We were left with our cousin, who was an adult. He was an adult. Yes. And while my mom was away, or sometime even if she was there, because it was a big enough house, you know. At age 14, I was molested by my cousin, and feeling like it was my fault, I didn't tell her. I think my mom found out later on, you know, when my sister got pregnant, then we told her everything, you know. I'm not saying we were saints because she wasn't there. So
was your sister also molested?
I would rather my sister disclose that.
Right.
Honestly, I wouldn't. But yes, so for a while we were there, and then when my mom found out, we moved to another house.
Help me to understand and help our viewers to understand what goes through one's mind when they are molested, or in particular for you, why you wouldn't have shared it with anyone, and yes, why you wouldn't have shared it with anyone?
I wouldn't tell my dad. I wouldn't. You know, at this point, I honestly thought he wanted to have nothing to do with me. Honestly.
So you thought your father abandoned you?
I knew that he was still interested in us going to school, but I just felt like me telling him would be a case like, I told you so, you know. I told you that that would happen to you and whatever, and this, you know, the I told you reaction is what I would prefer not deal with. And then from my mom, I really don't know how to tell her that a family member, seeing that our relationship had just started to repair.
Oh, and you never wanted
you
to
know,
lose that
you
bond.
don't want to be in the family, be the one that bring this to the family. Me doing this would not only damage the family, but him as well. And to me, he was already, you know, damaged, or in a situation where doing this would be a worse result than what it already is. So maybe if I could look it over, you know, I was still trying to find a way to deal with it.
Looking back, what would you have done differently now in this space and time? Looking back, because I can see where in that moment you're trying to save him from another situation, and you thought that doing it to you would be okay, right, if you just keep quiet. But looking back, what would you do differently?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you that I would tell somebody, because I've been through the system itself, and to me it didn't do justice for me either.
When you say the system, what do you mean?
As in, when I got pregnant, I was a minor, so we had to go to the police station.
Okay.
They sent us to Cisco, and then all of these that I'm telling you now was what came out of the situation. And I didn't feel like even stepping into the office where I was surrounded by
would have been a
police.
safe haven.
No, I didn't feel safe.
When we come back, Tawana tells us about being pregnant at 15.
The Alex Show.